It was Thursday. I made her coffee like always. Black with 2 sugars, the way she used to say only I got right. She was at the kitchen counter scrolling her phone, hair still damp from the shower, tapping out a text like I wasn't even in the room. I slid the mug next to her and kissed the top of her head. She didn't even look up, just mumbled, "Thanks." I stood there for a second. "I've got my HVSC exam tonight, remember?" She blinked like she was surprised I spoke. "Oh, right. I'll try to make it." Try. That word hit me sideways. I'd been studying every night after my shift. Flashcards, practice tests, staying up while she binged whatever drama was on. She knew how much this meant to me. Still, just try. She grabbed her bag and keys and headed for the door. "Jake's going through it," she said. "Divorce lawyers are hammering him." "Still?" I asked. She sighed like I was exhausting. "It's a lot. He needs a friend." That was her excuse every week. Jake's bad day, Jake's legal drama, Jake's latest mental breakdown, and always on Thursdays, like clockwork. By noon, I was already unloading pallets at the warehouse, sweat soaking through my shirt. My phone buzzed with a picture, her lunch, some artsy plate of grilled salmon and avocado, table for 2, no caption. I stared at it for a second before tossing my phone back into the truck cab. The guys were joking around, but I wasn't in the mood. I kept picturing her across from him, smiling, sipping wine. She always got wine with lunch, even on work days. Around 5, I texted her again. Reminder, exam starts at 7:15, room 2B at the rec center. No response. I showered, put on a clean shirt, left early just in case traffic hit. Got there with 20 minutes to spare. My hands were shaking, not from nerves, from anger. I sat in the parking lot watching couples walk in together, laughing, holding hands. I kept looking at the entrance every time someone came through. At 7:10, I texted, "You coming?" She finally replied, "Jake's in a really bad place tonight. I'm staying with him for a bit." That was it. No good luck. No, "You've got this." I shoved my phone in my bag and walked inside. Passed the exam. Nailed every section. But when I came out at 9, the parking lot was empty, and my phone was just as quiet. When I got home, the living room lights were off. Her car wasn't in the driveway. Roscoe barked from the laundry room. She hadn't even let him out. I fed him, sat on the couch, stared at the black screen of the TV, and told myself not to lose it. She walked in a little after 10, lipstick smudged, smelled like a perfume I didn't recognize. I said, "I passed." She dropped her purse on the floor and said, "That's good," before heading straight to the bedroom. Didn't ask how it went. Didn't say she was proud. She started wearing a new perfume. I noticed it one Thursday evening, another change layered on top of everything else. When she walked in the door laughing at something on her phone, coat still buttoned up. It wasn't the soft vanilla she used to wear. This was sharper, expensive, and strong enough to make Roscoe sneeze when she leaned down to pet him. "New scent?" I asked. She barely looked up. "Got a sample from Sephora." Except there wasn't a Sephora bag in the trash, and she hadn't mentioned shopping. Just walked in, tossed her purse on the counter, and went straight to take a shower, even though she supposedly only had lunch. 2 weeks later, her phone lit up on the couch. I glanced at it out of habit. She snatched it up so fast, you'd think it was a ticking bomb. "You checking my phone now?" she snapped. It lit up. I didn't touch it. She locked it, stuck it in her bag, and said, "Jake's lawyer sent over some court updates. It's personal." I didn't say anything, but from then on, that phone never left her side, never face up, never unlocked around me. One Thursday, I came home early from a short delivery run. She wasn't back yet, and the dog was pacing by the back door. I let him out, then tossed some trash in the kitchen bin, and there it was. A receipt crumpled in the side pocket of her purse. I wasn't snooping. I was throwing out gum wrappers and saw it hanging there. 2 entrees, 2 glasses of wine, weekday lunch at a place downtown we used to go for anniversaries. When she got home, I asked, calm as I could, "You went to DeAndrea's today?" She froze for half a second before dropping her keys. "Yeah, Jake wanted something nice. He's been struggling." I nodded slowly. "You guys got wine at noon?" Her eyes narrowed. "Are you keeping tabs on me? I just saw the receipt, that's all." "You're being paranoid," she said, voice sharp now. "He's going through hell right now. You don't get it. That was the end of it." She walked off. No apology, no explanation. Like I was the one who'd crossed the line. From that point on, I stopped asking questions. Not because I trusted her, because I was tired of feeling like the crazy one. She started staying out later, said Jake needed someone to talk to. I'd be on the couch, takeout in front of me, watching the clock tick past 10, 11, midnight. Some nights, I'd get home from the job and she'd already be gone. Little sticky note on the counter, Thursday lunch, don't wait up. The perfume lingered longer than her conversation. Even Roscoe stopped getting excited when her car pulled in. It wasn't one big betrayal. It was 100 little ones stacked on top of each other. I was still doing the laundry, fixing the sink, paying the bills, and she was somewhere else. Mentally gone, emotionally checked out. It was raining so hard the wipers barely kept up. I was heading down Westbrook Ave, tired, hungry, just wanting to get home and crash. The storm kept blowing sheets of water across the road, and the streetlights glowed in this blurry yellow haze. I eased up at the intersection, light turning green, rolled forward. Then a lifted truck barreled through the red, like the driver never even saw it. He hit me dead on. Metal slammed metal. My chest smacked the steering wheel so hard I saw white. My shoulder popped with this sickening crunch, like the whole joint slid out of place. Pain shot down my arm, and I couldn't even lift my hand off my lap. The airbag burst in my face and filled the car with smoke. I remember gasping, tasting that chemical dust. Rain blowing in through the cracked window. Someone was shouting from the sidewalk, calling for help. Paramedics showed up fast and pried the door open. One guy kept telling me to stay awake. I told him I was fine, even though my whole left side felt like it wasn't attached anymore. They loaded me onto a board, strapped me down, and started cutting my shirt to look at my shoulder. "Anyone we can call?" one of them asked. "Yeah," I muttered. "My wife." Numbers in my phone. They found it, hit call, put it on speaker. It rang out, straight to voicemail. They tried again, and again. Nothing. When they put the oxygen mask on me, I could hear the rain hammering the roof of the ambulance, the siren kicking on. My chest felt tight, and not from the hit. At the hospital, they rolled me into a bay. Everything was bright, loud, freezing. A nurse held my phone and said I should text her just in case. So I did. "Bad accident at St. Luke's. Can you come?" I stared at the screen with my good eye while another nurse pushed my shoulder, trying to check the damage. My vision wobbled when the bone shifted. I almost passed out. Then the phone buzzed. Not a call, a text. "I'm with Jake. He's spiraling. Can't leave right now." No question about whether I was okay. No panic, nothing. Just Jake. I felt my throat tighten, but I didn't say a word. A cop stepped up beside the bed. Tall guy, buzz cut, badge reading Becker. He'd been taking the accident report. "That her?" he asked, nodding at my phone. "Yeah." He waited until I finished reading the message again, then said, "You want us to go get her?" I swallowed hard. "She's at the Oakwell Cafe." He raised a brow. "You sure?" "Far corner table," I said. "Every Thursday." He didn't question it, just turned and signaled to another officer by the door. Rain was still coming down in sheets outside, but they headed for the exit without hesitation. As they walked off, a doctor came in and warned me before he pushed my shoulder back into place. Pain ripped through me so sharp, I bit down on my tongue. Blood hit the pillow, warm and metallic. But even that didn't hit as hard as the text still glowing on my screen. Couldn't leave Jake alone. I lay there, chest burning, arm dead, whole body shaking, listening to the storm pounding the building. And all I could think was how fast 11 years could cave in on you. About 40 minutes later, Officer Becker came back into the ER, soaked through but calm. He peeled off his rain jacket and looked me dead in the eye. "They were right where you said," he said. "Far corner, sharing a bottle of Pinot." I didn't answer, just kept my eyes on the wall while a nurse tightened the sling on my left arm. My shoulder was back in place, skin stitched where the glass sliced through. Pain meds were starting to kick in, but not enough to numb what really hurt. "She didn't seem surprised," he added. "Didn't ask much, just finished her glass and got up." I closed my eyes and nodded. He hesitated, like he wanted to say more, then just patted the edge of the bed and walked off. 10 minutes later, I heard the clack of heels coming down the hallway. She stopped just outside the curtain, cleared her throat like this was a damn meeting she was late to. I didn't say a word. She stepped in, holding her coat like a shield, hair perfect, lipstick not smudged this time, no rush in her voice, no apology. "You made it sound worse than it was," she said. That's what she opened with. Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "What happened?" Just that. I looked at her. Really looked at her. It was like staring at a stranger. She had that guarded look, the one she always used on waiters who messed up her order, or when her mom asked too many questions. Her eyes went to the IV in my hand, then back to my face. "They said you were alert," she said. "I figured you'd be fine." "You figured?" I asked. She shrugged, defensive. Jake was having a moment. He lost it after that court thing. I couldn't just leave him like that. I let out a breath, not a sigh, just slow, controlled. "You got 3 calls, 1 text, from the hospital. You ignored every single one." "I didn't ignore them. I answered you. You texted me, from across a table." I sat up straighter, my shoulders screaming in protest. "You picked wine over your husband bleeding in an ambulance." She flinched at that, but not much. "Don't make this bigger than it is." I tilted my head, smirked a little. "You think this is me being dramatic? I think you're twisting it to make me the villain. You left me alone in an emergency room," I said, voice low. "There's no twisting that." She didn't speak, just looked down, then back up like she was trying to calculate what version of this made her look better. "I didn't think it was that serious," she said again. "You didn't think," I shot back. "That's the problem." Her jaw clenched. "So what now?" That was the part that made it click. Not, "How are you?" Not, "I'm sorry," just what now? I stared at her, then picked up the hospital release papers the nurse had left. "Now?" I said, calm as hell. "Now I go home. You figure out where you're going." She blinked. "You're not serious." "You weren't," I said. "So, yeah, I am." She didn't cry, didn't yell, just stood there staring like I'd blindsided her. I didn't care. My shoulder throbbed, my ribs ached, and I was barely upright. But my mind had never been clearer. I wasn't married anymore. She just hadn't figured that out yet. I got home just before midnight, shoulder screaming every time the car hit a bump. Walked in, flicked on the lights, and dropped the hospital bag on the couch. Roscoe came trotting out of the laundry room, tail wagging, ears low like he knew something was off. I sat down, leaned my head back, and just stared at the ceiling. Not crying, not thinking, just done. An hour later, headlights hit the front windows. Nick. My brother drove 2 hours in the dark after I sent him 1 text. She left me in the ER. He walked in without knocking, took one look at the sling and the bruises down my face, and said, "We're packing her stuff." That was it. We didn't argue about it. No long speeches. He grabbed trash bags and boxes from his truck, and we started sorting. Clothes first, drawer by drawer, makeup bags. That expensive hairdryer, she always said, was an investment. Jewelry, chargers, laptop, a stack of notebooks from some self-help group she'd gone to with her coworkers last spring. Nick pulled a wine glass off the shelf, held it up, and smirked. "This one says Jake's. Want me to label it?" I nodded. "Make it box 8. By 3 in the morning, we had 9 boxes lined up by the front door. He printed labels off the work laptop. Clothes, bathroom, electronics, Jake's wine glasses, everything she came in with. Nothing else. She walked through the door around 7. Hair tied back, no makeup, eyes puffy like she hadn't slept. She froze when she saw the boxes. What is this?" Nick stood up from the couch, arms crossed. "Separation notice. From my buddy David. He's a lawyer." She looked at me, then down at the envelope he handed her. She didn't open it. "The locks are changed tomorrow," Nick said. "You've got 72 hours to collect anything else." She opened her mouth like she wanted to argue, but nothing came out. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she finally muttered. I didn't answer. She reached into her purse, pulled out the house key, and set it on the table. Didn't even look at me when she did it. She glanced at Roscoe, standing by my leg, ears perked. "I'll come back for his stuff later." Nick stepped forward. "Dog's not going anywhere." She blinked fast, like she wanted to protest, then just nodded and walked out. Didn't slam the door, didn't yell, just left. The next day, the locksmith showed up around noon. I stood by the porch, arm in a sling, watching him take the lock apart like it was nothing, like it hadn't held 11 years behind it. New keys, fresh start. By the end of the weekend, she started damage control. Word got around fast, mostly through her. She told her mom I was blowing things out of proportion, that it was barely a fender bender, and I was emotionally reactive, that I'd made a big dramatic scene and kicked her out over nothing. Her mom called me Monday night. Real sweet at first. "We're just concerned. You've been under stress lately. Maybe not thinking clearly." I didn't even argue. Just told her to call St. Luke's and ask about the ER report. Hung up before she could respond. Next morning, Jake messaged me. First time I'd heard from him directly. "I didn't know, man. She told me you just needed stitches." Right, just stitches. I was tired of letting her write the story, so I posted the facts. No names, no cheap shots, just the truth. Screenshots of the ER report, blood loss, dislocated shoulder, CT scans. I dropped in the timestamp texts from that night too. The ones where I told her I'd been hit, and she told me Jake was spiraling. Caption was simple. "When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time." People knew. Enough mutual friends, enough hints. I didn't tag anyone. Didn't need to. They put it together themselves. Her friend Alyssa, the one who used to like every couple's photo we posted, unfollowed her within an hour. One of the girls from her office DM'd me just to say, "We had no idea. I'm so sorry." Even her sister messaged me, said, "I feel sick. I can't believe I defended her. You didn't deserve that." I didn't reply to most of them. I wasn't fishing for pity. Just wanted the truth out there. She never responded to the post, never denied it, just went silent. Nick called it quiet guilt. I called it finally catching up. She'd built a whole side life on Thursdays and excuses. Figured I'd just keep my mouth shut while she painted me as some bitter ex-husband with a temper. She underestimated how done I was. I didn't gloat, didn't send follow-ups, didn't post again. Just let the silence speak for itself. Instead, I got back to work. Took it easy the first week, light shifts at the shop, no heavy lifting. Boss was solid about it. Guys at the warehouse didn't say much. Just nodded when I came back and passed me a soda from the cooler. The bruises faded, the sling came off, and every day I felt a little more like myself again. I was on break, standing behind the warehouse gate sipping a Gatorade, when I saw her. She was parked across the street, just sitting there, engine running, staring through the fence like she didn't believe it was really me on the other side. Then the door opened and she stepped out, hair pulled back, wearing that same jacket she used to throw on for late-night Target runs. She didn't walk up fast, more like she was testing the ground with each step. When she got to the gate, she didn't say hi, just wrapped her fingers around the metal bars like it was gonna open if she stared long enough. "I miss you," she said, voice soft. I didn't move, didn't step closer. Just looked at her through the gaps in the chain link. "You chose him," I said. "I chose myself." Her face cracked. "It wasn't like that." I tilted my head. "You left me bleeding in a hospital bed. It was exactly like that." She blinked fast, trying to keep it together. "He ghosted me," she said. "After everything happened, after the post, he just disappeared. Said he couldn't handle all the drama." I nodded once. "That checks out." Tears welled up in her eyes. She bit her lip like she wanted me to say something else. Beg her to come back. Blame Jake. Act like any of it mattered. "I'll have the rest of your stuff delivered," I said, flat. She swallowed hard, then let go of the gate and stepped back. Didn't say goodbye, just walked to her car and drove off slow, like she thought I might chase her down at the last second. I didn't. That night, I got the email. 2 pages long. Subject line, "Still love you. Please read." Said she was in therapy. Said she understood now. Said Jake was a mistake, that I was her foundation. All these words she probably copied out of some reconciliation workbook. I read the first paragraph, then blocked her. No reply, no drama. Just opened the cabinet, grabbed Roscoe's treats, tossed him 2. He wagged like it was the best day ever. I cracked a cold one, flipped on the game, and sank into the couch like it actually belonged to me now. No purse in the corner, no perfume in the cushions, just peace. I slept harder that night than I had in months. No dreams, no waking up angry, just quiet, and it felt good. A few weeks later, I signed the lease on a 1-bedroom 10 minutes from the warehouse. Nothing special, no granite countertops, no fancy appliances, just mine. The carpet smelled like fresh paint and old air. Roscoe sniffed every corner like he was approving it. I dropped a brand new dog bed in the living room, next to the window. He flopped on it like he'd been waiting for it his whole life. First thing I did after unpacking was ditch the old recliner. Hauled it to the curb, no second thoughts. Bought a new one. Wide, heavy, smooth leather. One of those that fully leans back and damn near hugs you when you sit in it. Best money I ever spent. The silence hit different in that place. No footsteps in the hallway, no wine glasses clinking, no tension thick enough to choke on. Just quiet. Just me. I took a solo trip upstate one weekend. Packed a duffel, filled the gas tank, didn't tell a soul where I was going. Drove with the windows down, music loud, Roscoe's head sticking out the back window. I stopped when I felt like it. Slept in a cheap motel off Route 9, grilled a steak outside, fed the dog scraps, drank a beer by the fire. I didn't answer a single text, didn't check any social media, didn't owe anyone anything. After that trip, something in me clicked back into place. I started going out with the guys from work again. Nothing crazy, just beers after shift. Pool on Fridays, laughed more, ate real food that didn't come out of a carton. Even tried meal prepping like Nick always preached. Some of it tasted like cardboard, but it beat the microwave dinners I'd been living on. Got better at sleeping too. Not perfect, but deeper. Shoulders still ached when it rained, and every now and then I'd catch myself reaching for something with my left arm, like it didn't still twinge, but it was healing. I'd come home, kick off my boots, and the apartment would smell like dog treats and clean laundry. No drama, no pretending, just a man, his dog, and a space where nothing felt fake anymore. Sometimes I'd drive by our old street on the way to a job site. Not on purpose, just how the route worked out. I'd glance at that house and feel nothing. Not anger, not sadness. Just like it belonged to somebody else's story now. Honestly, most days, I couldn't even remember what her voice sounded like. And that was the best part of all. 6 months to the day. It was a Thursday, of course. I got off work early, swung by the gas station for a six-pack, and headed home without thinking twice about what day it was. Pulled into the driveway, cracked one open, and settled onto the porch with Roscoe curled at my feet, already snoring. The sky was clear, cool breeze cutting the edge off the heat. That kind of weather where everything feels lighter than it should. My phone buzzed next to me. Unknown number. I picked it up and read the message. Hope you're doing okay. Miss our talks. Didn't say who it was. Didn't need to. I stared at it for half a second, thumb hovering, then hit delete. No hesitation. Didn't block it either. Not because I was holding out, but because I genuinely didn't care if she texted again. It wouldn't matter. Across the street, my neighbor's kid, maybe 7, 8 years old, was riding her bike in lazy circles, laughing so hard she could barely keep it straight. Her dad was raking leaves in the yard, pretending not to race her up the sidewalk. Life, just moving on. There was a time Thursdays used to make my chest tighten, when that day carried weight, held lies and silence and the ache of being left behind. Now, it was just another day. No sting, no bitterness, no pulse jumping when the calendar flipped. Just Thursday. Jake moved out of state, I heard. Some tech job in Denver or Boise. Doesn't matter. She's back with her mom, probably still telling her version of things. Still trying to make sense of how it all slipped through her fingers. But that's not my story anymore. Not my mess to sweep up. I took another sip, leaned back in the chair, and felt the cold bottle press into my palm. Solid, simple, mine. Roscoe snorted and stretched his legs, tongue hanging out like he owned the whole porch. I reached down, scratched behind his ears, and looked out over the street like it was the first time I'd ever seen it. No weight on my chest, no echoes in my head, just peace. I used to hate Thursdays. Now, I sit back, take another sip, and smile. It's Thursday, and I'm free.